Next talk is on RIS for Advanced Wireless Communication Application by Professor Sungjung Lim. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, Professor Sungjung Lim received a PhD degree in Electronic Engineering from Yonsei University, Seoul, South Korea in 2002 and MS and PhD degree in Electrical Engineering from the University of California at Los Angeles in 2004 and 2006 respectively. After a postdoctoral position in Integrated Nanosystem Research Facility, University of California at Irvine, USA, he joined the School of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Chungang University, Seoul in 2007, where he is currently a professor with the Department of Intelligent Semiconductor Engineering. He has authored and co-authored more than 300 international conference papers, letters, and journal articles. His research interests include engineered electromagnetic structures like metamaterials, electromagnetic bandgap materials, frequency selective surfaces, printed antennas, substrate integrated waveguides, components, inkjet printed electronics, and radio frequency MEF applications. He's also interested in the modeling and design of microwave circuits and systems. Dr. Lim received the Institute of Engineering and Technology Premium Award in 2009 and the ITRE Journal Best Paper Award in 2014, the Best Paper Award at the 2015 International Workshop on Antenna Technology. Also, he received the Best Paper Award at the 2018 International Symposium on Antennas and Propagation ISAP and CAU Distinguished Scholar from 2014 to 2021. Over to you, sir. We are happy that you have joined us. Over to you, sir.
Hey. Thank you for nice introduction. Hey. Now I'm sharing my PPT file. Can you see? Can you see my presentation file?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's good. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Sungjung Lim from Chunghwa University. And today I'm going to present reconfigurable intelligent services for advanced wireless communication applications. Okay, first of all, let me introduce my university, Chunghwa University. Okay, so I think you are here, and I'm from South Korea. Okay, here is a very long distance, and especially in Seoul. Okay, my school is at Seoul, and this is a metro city of Seoul, and this location, actually, my university is almost the center of Seoul city. That's why my university is called as Chunghwa University. Chunghwa means center. And this is the front gate of my university. And Chunghwa University was established in 1918. And our school is a private school with 30,000 students and 982 faculty members. Especially my department, Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department, has 38 faculty members. Okay, next, let me introduce our agenda of this talk. First of all, I'm going to introduce RIS. RIS means reconfigurable intelligent service. Next, I am going to present two kinds of RIS. First of all, transmissive RIS, and second, reflective RIS. So I'm going to present several types of transmissive RIS, and also I'm going to present several types of reflective RIs depending on tuning mechanisms. Okay, let me first introduce what is RIS. Because this RIS is a very promising technology. That's why in this day, many people are interested in RIS. This RIS can be known as a reconfigurable metasurface because this surface is artificial surface or electromagnetic surface or engineered surface. All of surfaces can be implemented by using metasurfaces. Sometimes this RIS can be called as intelligent reflecting surfaces. As I mentioned, this RIS can be working as a transmissive RIS and reflective RIS. Especially for reflective RIS, it can be called as intelligent reflecting surfaces. And this RIS can control instant electromagnetic wave. So it can make transmit and it can make reflection. Also, it can make scattering depending on various environments. Now, how can we control instant electromagnetic EM wave? This EM wave can be controlled by tuning amplitude and phase of each unit cell. So this is like a general technology to control electromagnetic wave. In this presentation, I'm going to introduce this conventional technology as well as new technology, which is space coding. So I'm going to present several types of RIS, not only amplitude and phase coding, but also space coding. And what is the advantage of RIS? There are several advantages such as coverage extension, information transmission, data rate enhancement, beamforming enhancement, interference mitigation, security improvement. Among them, the most dominant and popular benefit is coverage extension. If the operating frequency is higher, such as millimeter wave and sub-terahertz frequency bands, then there is a coverage problem. So by using RIS, we can extend its coverage. As I mentioned, this RIS can be implemented by using metasurface. This metasurface is composed of a large array of scattering elements. So this is like a unit element. And also, each unit cell must be controlled. That's why we need a controller. So this controller, by using this controller, we can program this metasurface. In this case, we can call it as a programmable metasurface. And in order to control each unit cell, we also need a control unit, such as RF switches. So these three components are main components for RIS. As I mentioned, for 5G or 6G or millimeter wave and sub-terahertz frequencies, high path loss is a big problem. In order to solve this problem, we can use a high gain antenna or repeater or relay. And also, for 5G and 6G communications, non-line of sight is another problem. But this problem can be solved as also high gain antenna or repeater or relay. This is some scenario from outdoor to indoor, how to increase the channel capacity. So by using RIS, we can improve communication capacity. So this is like a simulation result, especially from outdoor to indoor, close to window, then we can receive a signal. So very strong signal. But if you go inside, then there is a shadow region. Then there are a lot of path loss. But if you use a wide beam antenna, then we have a good coverage. So in order to solve outdoor to indoor, which is called as O2I propagation scenario, by using RIS, we can improve, we can have a wider coverage. Counterpart of RIS is relay. So I can compare conventional relay and RIS. This is a conventional relay's drawbacks, and this is advantages of RIS. Compared to relay, RIS has a low cost, and also it has a compact and lightweight design, and also low latency communication and power consumption is low because it does not include active circuits such as amplifiers. There are a lot of potential scenarios. For instance, by loading RIS outdoor, we can reflect the signal, as you can see here. So if you load the RIS, then signal can reflect to specific direction. So on the building, we can deploy RIS. This is several scenarios. Of course, in indoor, we can load RIS as well. Indoor. So we can deploy both the outdoor and indoor. Now I'm going to present both transmissive RIS and reflective RIS. Especially for transmissive RIS, this is good for outdoor to indoor communication. So signal from outdoor to indoor, then it becomes weaker. But if you use transmissive RIS, then we can focus, or we can strengthen EM wave at specific direction. Of course, we can achieve beam shaping. Sometimes we can convert polarization. Also, for reflective RIS, we can load on wall. Then we can reflect at the specific direction. Also, we can make the beam scattering. Also, we can convert polarization, such as LP to CP. And now I'm going to briefly explain how to design RIS. First of all, amplitude is very important for high efficiency. When you design transmissive RIS, transmission coefficient is important. Then this insertion loss becomes 0 dB is ideal. For reflective RIS, reflection coefficient is important. So we need to design the RIS with S11 is 0 dB. So if you have a good amplitude, then we can minimize the side lobe as well. And next, phase information is very important because beam directions must be dependent on phase difference. How can you make a phase difference? Depending on how many bits. For instance, for 1 bit, we need a 180-degree phase difference. For 2 bits, we need 90-degree phase difference. And for 3 bits, we need 45-degree phase difference. In general, this phase difference is 360 degrees over 2 times n, tau of n. So as you can see, we have a 1, 0, 1 bit. Then if you have a 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, then we have a dual beams. And also we can have a 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. And also 1, 1, 0, 0. So depending on how to program your metal surface, we can generate different beam patterns. So more beam pattern can be shown here. So this is how to generate different beam pattern by programming each unit cell on metal surface. So basically this unit cell is a resonator. And in order to control phase of a unit cell, we need tuning component. In general, electronically tunable components can be loaded on resonator. For electronical tunable components, we can use pin diodes or bulk diodes. That is best to control phase of each unit cell. In this presentation, I'm going to present also mechanically tunable components such as DC motors or phase changing materials. So basically, this is a metal surface and there are several unit cells, and also we need a controller. So this controller can control each unit cell to generate different phase, such as bit 1 or bit 2. Then, depending on phase distribution of each unit cell, we can generate reflection or maybe beam splitting or scattering. Very diverse beam patterns can be generated. By using RIS, we can also have a field test. Especially, this RIS is very useful for line of sight environments. So in this presentation, I'm going to show how to test in this communication scenario. And also, we can demonstrate the performance of RIS by using ray tracing simulation. So this is a general case, and we can use a metal plate. Then for this metal plate, it follows Snell's law. So we have a reflection. But when you use RIS, then we can change reflection angles. And by changing reflection angles at specific location, we can improve EM power. This can be demonstrated by using simulation and measurement. There are a lot of demands for RIS, especially different frequency bands. not only microwave frequency, but also sub-terahertz frequency bands. These are like one of similar to RIS. This is focusing RIS, and this is transmissive RIS. And as you can see here, this RIS market is expected to increase up to $16 billion, maybe around 2035 years. In Korea, we have three kinds of communication company. All communication companies are working on RIS, SKT, LG U+, KT. And also, other countries are also working on RIS, France, Japan, Taiwan, and China. And all companies are closely working with the communication company. So these are how they are closely collaborating in Japan and in China. Okay, next, let me introduce transmissive RIS. Okay, the most popular method to realize RIS is electrical based RIS. Okay. In this work, this RIS's unit cell is controlled by using pin diode. And in order to control pin diode, we need a bias network. So this is why we use the different multi-layers to control pin diodes. For this transmissive RIS has been designed at 29 GHz and it used 4-pin diodes. So diode 1, diode 2, diode 3, diode 4. By using 4-pin diodes, we can achieve 2-bit phase difference. When you design electrical-based RIS, biasing circuit is very important. So we must consider the impact of bias networks. These are bias lines, and this is the connectors which is connected to microcontroller. And this is a measurement results, and as you can see, we have a beam scanning from plus minus 6 degrees. The next work is also electrical based RIS. And in this case, it also used 4-pin diodes. And in order to develop bias circuit, it used multi-layers. Especially for careful design and for reliable measurement results, we first tested by using waveguide. So by using waveguide, we demonstrate its switching capability. Then next, we design full structure. And we test in various environments. This is a meta surface and each unit cell, and these are bias lines, and it can be controlled by using microcontroller. And it has 1 bit, for instance, element 0, element 1. So all 0, and we have a both side reflection. And this is 1, 0, 1. Then we have a dual beam. Then 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Then we have a scattering. And we have more beams. And also, we can develop OAM beam by probing this meta surface. And all result has been demonstrated by using measurement. Okay, next, this is a little different technology. Instead of electrical RIS, we use a mechanical-based RIS. This is meta surface. And main novelty is this mechanical transformation has been implemented by using scissor and rotation actuators. That is a key point. Okay, this is a scissor mechanism. Okay, so there are scissor actuators at the end of metal surface. Okay, scissor. And also next, it has a rotation actuator. By using this DC motor, we can rotate. Okay. We use the two different actuators. By using scissor actuators, then this polarization of a transmit wave can be swept between left-handed circular polarization and right-handed circular polarization by flipping, like this one. So by using scissor actuator, we can flip the unit cell. Then its polarization can be changed. In addition to polarization reconfigurability, it also has a beam scanning capability. How we can change beam direction? We can use rotation. So by changing this rotation angle, then this metal surface can be extended or shrink. Then depending on these two kinds of modes, we can change beam pattern. Okay, so this is how to change beam direction. As you can see here, we can change distance between each unit cell. By changing distance between each unit cell, we can change beam direction. And scanning angle from 18 to 60 degrees. Then how we can achieve this scanning angle? By using rotation actuator. So if you change rotation angle, alpha. So this is alpha. So we can change rotation angle. We can change beam scanning direction. This performance has been demonstrated by using both simulation and measurement results. Okay, this is another mechanical-based RIS. For this one, it has a mechanical gear. So this is the main contribution. So by changing mechanical gear, we can change the angle of this unit cell. So you can see this rotation angle is changed by using mechanical gear. Then we can change phase. So depending on angle, we have different phase. So there is a relationship between alpha angle and phase phi. Then by changing alpha, we can change phi. So we can change phi, then we have different phase difference, then we have different angle. So we can continuously change beam scanning angle from -50 to +50 degree. Okay, this is a comparison table. I present several RIS, several transmissive RIS. First, the two RIS, their tuning mechanism is electrical tuning mechanism. They use the pin diodes as tuning components. And also, we proposed two mechanical-based RIS. First, the mechanical RIS used seizure actuator and rotation. And also, second mechanical RIS, it used motor and brake gear. When you compare electrical RIS and mechanical RIS, this power consumption is for electrical RIS, we can continuously consume power. However, for mechanical RIS, it does not continuously consume power. Power is consumed only when we change the status. So if whilst the environment is not dynamically changed, then mechanical RIS consume much less power. And also, this mechanical RIS can provide more functionality because it does not require complicated biased network. So we have more freedom to load more actuators. By using more actuators, so we can have more functionality. Okay, next, let me present reflective RIS. Okay, for reflective RIS, we can also design mechanically based RIS. So here, I'm going to present two kinds of mechanical RIS. One is via system mechatronic metasurface. Second one is power screw mechatronic metasurface. Both mechanical RIS can generate EM functionality by using mechanical actuators. And also, for mechanical actuators, we use 3D printing technology. One of the advantages of mechanical RIS is it is non-volatile. And also, it can reduce design complexity. It does not require any DC biasing circuits. Okay, then what is a motivation or advantage of mechanical arrays? Okay, let me compare two different arrays. One is the 1-bit arrays and the other one is the 2-bit arrays. If we use the 1-bit arrays, then we can generate dual beam scanning. But if you increase a bit, then we can generate single beam, and also we can generate both dual beam scanning. So that's why higher bit is much better and more preferred. So more number of tuning components is required for more functionality. However, if you have a more bits or more number of tuning components, then it has more parasitic effects. And of course, more number of pin diodes, it means we have to pay more money. And also, these pin diodes are non-linear devices, so it can generate signal distortion. Of course, each pin diode requires this bias network, so the design complexity is increased. And also, if you increase the number of unit cells, it means a large size of RS can improve RS performance. This is like a simulation, theoretical analysis. As you can see, if reflecting element is increased, then this SNR is increased. That's why large number of unit cells are preferred, but if you increase the number of unit cells, then more pin diodes, more money. However, if you use mechanical arrays, then we don't have to pay a lot of money compared to electrical arrays. So if the number of unit cells are increased, then this kind of mechanical arrays becomes more beneficial. And also, as I mentioned, this mechanical arrays is non-volatile. That's why this mechanical arrays consume less power for very switching environment. Okay, let me introduce our first mechanical arrays, which is called as ER actuator mechatronic metasurface. It has a ER actuator. So in order to change reflection phase, it uses rotational motion. So in order to change rotation, we use rake gear. So by using rake gear, we can change the rotation angle of each unit cell. Then these arrays can generate multi-functionality, such as reflection, scanning, scattering. And also, these modes can be wirelessly controlled by using mobile phone. Okay, this is unit cell, and this is a pattern. As you can see, they are rotating. So depending on rotation angle, we can generate different phase. So we can generate 3-phase difference or quarterly phase difference. So we can have a different rotation angle can generate different phase variation. This is the main idea of this mechatronic metasurface. So in order to design unit cell, we have to consider both mechanical analysis and electromagnetic analysis. For instance, we can decide rotation angle resolution. So we want to maximize the resolution. How can we maximize rotation resolution? Then we can change PCD. PCD means pitch circle diameter. And also we can change G. G means number of teeth. So by changing PCD and G, we can maximize resolution. And also, we need to minimize the beam squint. So in order to minimize the beam squint, we have to find the optimum back ratio of a spur gear structure. Also, we have to minimize the power consumption. So in order to minimize power consumption, we have to optimize contact ratio of a spur gear structure. So we have to consider these mechanical parameters. Next, to achieve electromagnetic performance, we need the phase difference. So here, if we use 1 bit, then we have a zero rotation angle correspond to cos 0. And 90-degree phase angles correspond to cos 1. So here, at different rotation angle, we have a different phase response here. So in order to change rotation angle, we use a rack gear here. So by including this rack gear, we design unit cell. First of all, we have to check amplitude. So here, almost close to 0 dB. And also we have to check phase difference. Cos 0, cos 1, their phase difference must be 90 degrees. So you can find the phase difference. And also we have to optimize design by considering both physical or mechanical analysis and electromagnetic analysis. So we consider gear diameter and also torque and reflection beam angle. Okay, now based on unit cell, we design full structure. This ROS can generate multifunction reality. For instance, function 1 is reflection. Function 2 is scanning. Function 3 is scattering. So each function, 3 functions. Then for scanning, it can generate mode 1. Then scanning angle is 40 degree. Mode 2, scanning angle is 20 degree. Mode 3 is the scanning angle is 18 degree. For instance, mode 1, then 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Mode 2, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. This is a scattering mode. So this is a simulation result. So here we use the code 0, 1, 2, then phase becomes 9 degree, 0 degree, minus 9 degree. Then this mode 1, all columns are 0. Mode 2, 0, 0, 0, 111, 222. Mode 3, 00, 11, 22. So at each mode, we have different beam scanning. For instance, this is mode 0. This is mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. So, for instance, at mode 1 shows 0 degree, right? And mode 2 shows 18 degree. Mode 3 shows 28 degree. Mode 4 shows 52 degree. Also, we can have a dual beam scanning. As you can see, this is mode 1, 0 degree, and mode 2 is like a red color, dual beam. Then mode 3, dual beam, mode 4, dual beam. So we can have a dual beam scanning. Next, we have a beam scattering. So there are a lot of beam scattering. So depending on each mode, we can achieve a beam scattering. There are a lot of different beams. Next, I'm going to show how we fabricate. So we use 3D printing to fabricate gear. And also each unit cell, we need a conductive pattern. So in order to have a conductive pattern, we use the screen printing here. So this is a red gear, okay, here. And this is a top pattern. And this is a screen printed one. And this is like a controller. And this is a motors. And also, this controller can be wireless controlled by using mobile phone. So in mobile phone, if you select each mode, then by using Bluetooth, we can control this module. Then finally, we can control meta surface. As you can see here how to control this red gear by using mobile phone. Okay. And next, we did the measurement. So as you can see, we tested different modes, dual beam scanning functions. And also we tested scattering mode. So scanning angle achieve the 40 degree, 20 degree, 18 degree. And also in this environment, we tested our RIS. So on the wall, we wrote RIS with MCU, microcontroller unit. Okay. Next, we use a mobile phone. So this mobile phone can remotely control this RIS. And this is a source. Signal is coming to here. So normal instance. Then by changing this RIS by using mobile phone, then we can change reflection direction. So without RIS, this is a shadow region because of non-line of sight environment. But by loading RIS, it becomes there are good connection. So if RIS is off, then RIS is on. And this black color is without RIS, just a 1. Then we have a 10 dB improvement. Because of this is a mechanical tuning method, then how fast the tuning speed? So we tried, test it. So when you actuate, then it takes 6 seconds. And also, power consumption is 3.5 watts. Especially, this is occasional. So this power is consumed only when it actuates. If environment is wireless environment is not changed, then we don't have to actuate. Then power is not consumed. Okay, next, this is a millimeter wave RIS. So we test it by using modulation signal. Okay, we tried the QPSK and 16 count, 32 count, 64 count. Because it does not have any non-linear device, so all modulation signals is a good EVM and also good SNR as well. Okay, this is another mechanical RIS. Here we use a power screw. This is a power screw. By using power screw, we can change distance between each unit cell. Previously, RIS used a phase difference. It means a phase coding. However, in this case, instead of phase difference, we used a spatial modulation, which is called as a space code. Because beam direction is a function of phase as well as space. So by changing space, we can change beam direction. As you can see here, this is a reflection angle. And if you change distance, then we can change beam direction. So how can you change distance? This is distance. How can you change distance? You can use a power screw. So this is a power screw. So we 3D printed the power screw. And this power screw has two customized nut screw. And beta 3 are mounted on nut screws. This is a relationship between electromagnetic response and power screw performance. As I mentioned, if you change distance, we can change beam direction. So distance is changed, then beam direction is changed here. So this distance can be changed by using power screw. Okay, this is a simulation result. As you can see, distance is changed from here to here. Then scanning angle is changed from 32 degree to 15 degree. As you can see here, scanning angle is changed. This is a simulation result, and this is a measurement result. This is a simulation result, this is the measurement result. Also, the performance is measured by using modulation signal. And here also we tested QPSK and 16 com, 32 com, 64 com. All modulation signal, it shows good EVM. Okay, next, we design electrical based RIS. Here, main point is we use two Bragg diodes, and also we use resistors on the bottom. So by using Bragg diodes and resistor, we can change both amplitude and phase with frequency tunability. Previously, they changed only phase by using pin diodes or Bragg diodes. However, in this case, we control both amplitude and phase. This is a key point of this work. And each unit cells, by applying different voltage level, you can change its mode. For instance, mode 1, V1 is 20 volts and V2 is 20 volts. Then it is working as a reflector. For mode 2, then we have a different voltage level here for each unit cell. Then we have a dual beam at 34 degrees. And we have also mode 3. This is mode 3 for different voltage level. Then we have a single beam. So this single beam, dual beam, reflection. And also we have a observer as well at mode 4. So we have this kind of voltage dispersion. Then it is working as observer. This is a Bragg diodes and resistors here and bottom resistors here. And each unit cell can be controlled by using FPGA, and this is designed by using inverse design flow. This is a simulation result and measurement result. We can control amplitude and phase. Then we can have 3 different electromagnetic characteristics. So as you can see, beam scanning can be achieved. Dual beam and single beam. This is another kind of RIS, which is called as electrothermal RIS. This work has been done at sub-terahertz, such as 100 gigahertz. And this sub-terahertz bands, it is very difficult to find good tuning compounds because pin diodes or Bragg diodes, their performance is very poor. So here, vanadium dioxide has been used. This VO2 is phase changing materials. Depending on temperature, its resistance is changed. So we use VO2 as a tuning compound for sub-terahertz RIS. This is VO2. And we use the screen printing technology to develop this electrothermal RIS. Based on different resistance of VO2 material, we have 1-bit unit cell. So by programming 1-bit unit cells, we achieve 13 degree, 20 degree, 26, 29 degree, and 68 degree at 100 gigahertz. So we compare simulation and measurement results. And this is another technology. We combine electrical RIS and thermal RIS. So for electrical RIS, we use the pin diodes. And for thermal RIS, we use shape memory polymer. So by using shape memory polymer, we can change distance between each unit cell, which is called as space modulation. By using pin diodes, we can change phase of each unit cell, which is called as phase modulation. So here we use the pin diodes for phase modulation and for the printing, which is called as the shape memory polymer for space modulation. That's why it's called as hybrid electrical and thermal RIS. Electrical is due to pin diodes, thermal is due to shape memory polymer. And this is a theoretical patterns, and this is a simulation and measurement result. So by using pin diodes, this is a electrical RIS. But when you use a shape memory polymer, such as a space coding, then we have more beam scanning angles. It means we can increase resolution of beam steering angle. Okay, let me compare all reflective RIS. First of all, I showed two mechanical RIS. One is a screw type, the other one is a brake gear type. Also, I propose two electrical RIS. Both of them use the fractal diodes. And I used electrothermal RIS. We used the VO2. And finally, I propose hybrid electrical and thermal RIS. It used both the pin diode and shape memory polymer. And what is the advantages? First of all, for mechanical RIS, the main advantage is low cost and low power consumption. Of course, if a status is very dynamically changed, then power consumption increase. But environment is not much changed, then this power consumption is very low. And also, for electrical RIS, we have a multifunctionality. And for electrothermal RIS, this is a very promising method for sub-terahertz frequency band. And when you combine space coding and phase coding, then we can increase beam resolution. Okay, let me conclude my presentation. As you know, this RIS can very promising technology for 60 wireless communication. Especially we can improve coverage. There are a lot of research for RIS, and we can expect its market is also increase up to 16 billion in future. Here, I present both transmissive and reflective RIS. Especially, I'm going to show the future of RIS in terms of new materials and new tuning mechanism and new fabrication technology, such as screen printing or 3D printing or body printing. They can offer additional advantage and also enhance the superior merits of RIS. Okay, this is at the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. And
Thank
now
you, sir.
it's open
I
for
will take it. I will take the questions from the chat box, and I will repeat to you. You can answer the questions.
Okay.
Yeah. The first question is: how do the electromagnetic properties of metasurface differ from the traditional FSS in RIS design?
Okay, first of all, FSS is each init cell is identical. So we can design like a periodic structure. But for RIS, each init cell has different phase and different amplitude. So we cannot use periodic simulation. We must use a full structure. So it takes a lot of time to simulate.
Okay, sir. We are just moving to the next question. How to optimize the phase of an reflected signal of each element of IRS using pilot transmission, or is there any other better method in the case of passive IRS?
Phase of just we did simulation, and the most important is we demonstrate it's a phase information by using waveguide, because full structure, like in free space, it's very difficult to characterize the phase, and also simulation and measurement results are very different. So in order to characterize the phase accurately, we measure on the waveguide.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question, and it is related to the bias line. Bias lines are designed along with the unit cell or after the completion of full RIS design, whether they are placed near to the unit cell or in the substrate or in the below the substrate.
Okay, it depends. It depends on the like unit cell. Okay, for instance, here there are different kinds of bias line. Okay, for instance, this kind of bias line we have to include in simulation. And okay, let me show another bias line. Okay, this kind of bias line, it does not affect too much. So if you design this part without bias line, then it is similar to like simulation result, like this one. It does not affect too much. But here, like multi-layer, then bias line affects. So depending on bias network, sometimes we have to consider bias network in simulation, and sometimes it does not affect too much for EM performance.
Okay, sir. I'm just taking to the next question. So far to my literature survey, I saw research articles only mentioning some specific code sequences, say like 0101, 0011, 1111. So is there any special reason behind this sequence in order to generate sir, in order to generate two or four or six beams?
Oh, okay. So this is like a similar to array factor. So if you see array factor function, then maybe you can find this is just straightforward. But this case is like we need optimization. So this kind of like pattern, this is a very straightforward. We can expect from array factor.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. What role do the tunable components play in making the RIS adaptive?
I'm sorry, can you say again?
Yeah. What role do the tunable components, example like pin diodes and varactor diodes, play in making the RIS adaptive?
because this kind of tuning component is very fast tuning speed. So this is preferred in RIS.
Okay, sir. I'm going to the next question. In slide number 35, can you explain the beam scanning? Does that mean RIS can reflect the beam in those angles? If so, can it reflect or steer the beam in any other angles too?
Okay. Any other angles? So if you have a more unit cell, then you can have other beams. But this is kind of a digital, so it's not continuous. Then maybe there is some like empty angle. We will miss some angles. So in order to cover this part, then we need a more number of unit cells.
Okay, sir. I'm just going to the next question. How does unit cell inter-element spacing influence mutual coupling in RIS?
Oh, that's why, yes, of course, it has a mutual coupling. It has mutual coupling. So that's why, like, instead of a periodic simulation, we have to do like full structure simulation. Then, first of all, maybe you will have like a code 0 unit cell and code 1 unit cell. But when you combine them, like beam pattern is slightly different from your expected like result. So we need slightly tuning.
Sir, based upon these questions, I would like to ask my own two questions. What should be the array size of an RIS when compared to the size of a single unit cell? How much large we need to consider?
Okay, basically, meta surface requires a sub-wavelength unit cell. So its unit cell must be very small. However, honestly, this unit cell is not very small. If this is a very small, then maybe we need more pin diodes. So I think this unit cell is not sub-wavelength unit cell. Of course, we can design by using sub-wavelength scale, but this is not preferred. So because this is just a resonator, then size is like not sub-wavelength. It doesn't have to be sub-wavelength unit cell size.
Okay, sir. I'm just going to the next question. Is it possible to construct electrical based RIS using normal PN junction diode?
Oh, yes, it's possible, yes.
Okay, sir. I'm just going to the next question. Which substrate materials are well suited for millimeter wave and terahertz communication? Kindly suggest some dielectric substrate materials.
My experience, like quartz and glass is low lossy material. So for our like sub-terahertz RIS, we use also glass.
Okay, sir. I'm just going to the next question. What are the material characteristics we should take into consideration before designing the array of RIS?
Okay, we have to know like its permittivity. It means direct constant and loss tangent. This is the most important parameters to design RIS.
I'm just moving to the next question, sir. What techniques can improve polarization control in RIS unit cell?
Excuse me?
What techniques can improve polarization control in RIS unit cell? Polarization control in RIS unit cell.
I'm sorry, I cannot catch the point.
Yes, sir. I'm just going to report. What techniques can improve the polarization control in RIS unit cell?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you skip this question?
Okay,
can
sir.
you please-
I will just move to the
Sorry.
next question. What are the key differences between RIS and traditional beam forming technologies in terms of implementation and performance?
Okay, so good question. Actually, this is very similar to like a reflective array, but difference is for instance, reflective array is just it can generate like a single beam, like a reflection. But for RIS, we can generate a lot of different beam sweeping. And also, main difference is sensing. First of all, actually, in this presentation, I did not show any sensing mechanism, but for RIS, it requires a sensor. So we have to smartly detect which direction must be reflected. That's why it's called as intelligent. So intelligence is a key point.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. How many possible modes we can have in electrical based RIS? Sir, do you want me to? How many possible modes we can have in electrical based RIS?
Okay, so this is depending on how you code. Because, for instance, there are 100 unit cells, then we have like a lot of different mode can be generated. So this is the difference compared to reflect array. So we can generate multi beams. We have only 3 beams, or we can generate the OAM. So a lot of different modes.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. If we want to steer the beam to user, how the position of the user and the position information will be communicated to RIS in order to steer?
Yes, sure. So we can, yes.
Graphene is used for substrate. Can we use graphene?
Maybe not, because this is not good, like not low lossy material. Because for substrate, loss is the most important parameter. Maybe frequency is very high, then graphene can be used, but when it's the microwave and millimeter wave, graphene is not good material.
Okay, sir. And participant, if you have any questions, you just kindly put in the chat box. We'll take it for you. Kindly tell about microcontroller based RIS. Microcontroller based RIS controllers.
Because in order to control like each unit cell, we need a microcontroller. There's no other option.
Okay, sir. Participants, if you have any questions, please let us know. Huh? Sir, can we implement RF energy harvesting element along with a unit cell for autonomous operation of RIS?
Yes, some unit cell can be working as a RF energy harvester. So it is possible, but I'm not sure it is effective or not. Anyway, it's possible. Because the metasurface can be used for RF energy harvester. So there are a few papers about this technology.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. Whether polymer substrate material is suitable for millimeter wave communication?
Yes, sure. Yes, it's a good material. Polyimide is a good material for millimeter wave or subterraneous.
Next,
Because this polyimide has been used for antenna or arrays for subterraneous.
okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. How to choose varactor diode? What bias we have to choose for RIS? How to?
Okay.
Yes, sir. How to choose varactor diode?
Yes. Okay. First of all, it's low loss is important for like a good efficiency. And next, like a tuning range is also important. But as from my experience, loss is more important because we do not need a lot of wide tuning range. So loss is an important parameter for flex diodes.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. How to determine which unit cell in an RIS array should be activated to steer the beam in a specific direction?
Okay, direction is okay. First of all, unit cell must be designed like code 0 or 1. So unit cell is just the phase difference. Then next, for beam direction, it depends on how to program the metasurface. It means how to distribute 0 and 1. So unit cell is just a phase difference. Digital phase difference. 1, 0, 1, 1, 0.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. What are the most promising materials or hardware innovations currently being researched or developed for cost-effective and scalable RIS development?
Promising material, maybe PCB is the most popular material. PCB is, and also depending on frequency, maybe like low frequency, then we can use the FR4 substrate. But frequency is higher, then we need low loss direct materials. So it depends on frequency, operating frequency depends.
Okay, sir. I'm just moving to the next question. Can we go for both magnitude and phase control together in RIS?
Okay, so in this presentation, I showed we can control both amplitude and phase by using Barrett's diode and resistors. And also the other works, they use like amplifier and like pin diodes to control amplitude and phase.
Okay, sir. I'm just going to the next question. How to choose pin diode or varactor diode? Is it depend upon frequency or amplitude or phase? Kindly give some source.
Okay, so as I mentioned, loss is important. So for pin diodes, low resistance is preferred, and for plug diode as well. Of course, high isolation is preferred, but when I consider both of them, then I think loss is more important than isolation performance.
Okay, sir. I'm just going move to the next question. How can AI and machine learning can be effectively integrated with RIS for real-time optimization in present-day networks?
Okay, it depends on like a sensor, because here I did not include the sensor, but for AI and machine learning, first of all, we need the sensor. Then next, we need like a microcontroller. So first of all, we have to train by sensing the wireless environment. Then we can program data service by using microcontroller.
Okay, sir. And just move to the next question. Can you suggest any book for RIS?
I have no idea because I'm just studying like papers instead of books. I'm not sure if there is books for RIS, but I haven't studied books for RIS, so I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. These are the questions. We just completed the questions from the chat box. Sudarshan, sir?
Okay.
Swarnima?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you can.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving us time and adjusting the time according to this schedule. We are grateful
Okay.
for your contribution, and the insight was like really good today. Thank you for today's session, sir.
Thank you. Okay. It is a very good opportunity to present my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much for
Thank you
joining,
so
sir.
much, sir.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Participants, session for today is over.